everybody, and welcome back. I am the Sovereign, and this is my court. If this is your first time in attendance, hello, please consider hitting the subscribe button before you leave our kingdom. And I would like to say a very loud, very happy, warm welcome to the newest Baron and Baroness, Juan Pablo and Samira, over on the Coterie Patreon. Hi, you guys, I saw that you joined, and I'm very happy to have you here, and I just wanted to say hey and let everybody acknowledge your greatness. Yes, I do have a Patreon known as the Coterie. That's where you can get extended cut videos such as the Miss USA reaction video that's actually about 20 minutes longer over on the Patreon, as well as extra videos, a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, my personal thoughts and feelings on certain things. The Coterie is privy to a lot of things, including shout outs and titles within the Discord kingdom. All the links to everything are in the description box below, by the way. As we do have our very own title holders here in the court, I do like to acknowledge them and say hey to everybody. Also, shout out to Scribbled, who has been promoted to a noble in the kingdom, because you definitely deserve it. Scribbles brings us all the tea, and we love it, and we love you, and thank you. It is currently pageant season, so the channel is usually inundated with pageant content, because at the end of the year we get ready for Miss Universe, so it's pageant content left and right. But I promise you guys, once things calm down, we will be getting back to other videos. Of course, there will always be pageant content, okay? But I have a lot more coming to the channel in the future, so just stay tuned. Now let's get down to brass tacks. It has been some time since I've held a court council. Court councils are where we talk about news and world events outside of the other pageant topics that happen here on my channel. We talk about everything in court councils. And yes, it's been a while since I've done one, and I am not wearing the crown of shade. This is my newest crown that will be going onto my motorcycle helmet once I get a new one, because we're doing moto vlogs over here. But I thought about it, and I'm like, it may not be necessarily necessary for me to wear the crown of shade, and you will see why soon. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory, or a refresher for those of you who maybe haven't been thinking about this for a while. Most of us haven't. The college admission scandal happened back towards the beginning of the year, when it was discovered that Massimo Giannulli and Lori Loughlin, amongst other parents, bribed college officials in order to get their children into the University of Southern California, a very prestigious, high-ranking college. Along with the bribes, the parents and their children were staging their children as rowing athletes in order to ensure that they would receive a spot at the very prestigious college. Now, when this news erupted, there was outrage, because obviously this reeks of privilege. Number one, the girls themselves, who were pretending as if they were rowers to get on a rowing team and to take those college spots. They were stealing those spots from more deserving athletes. They were also using their money and wealth to muscle out more deserving candidates for those spots. Now, as some of you may recall, this was all over the news in the beginning of the year, but recent developments have happened. The parents of Olivia Jade, who is a YouTuber here on the platform, have been sentenced. The mother, Lori Loughlin, who's an actress, will be serving 2 months behind bars, and the father, Massimo Giannulli, who is a notable fashion designer, is going to be serving 5 months, because the judge has denoted that he was the more involved parent in this situation. Both of them are currently serving prison time. Now, Olivia has largely been absent from the public spotlight. Though she is a YouTuber, her YouTube channel has been dormant because she was receiving a lot of backlash, and she recently decided to do an interview for the first time, speaking about all of this on Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk. And this is all over Twitter. So now that I've given you the backstory and we're all caught up onto what's happened, let's talk about this interview. The first discussion that I saw pop up on Twitter was that of Jada Pinkett Smith's mother, I don't remember her name, basically saying that she had a very large issue with Olivia even coming to the Red Table Talk, because she said it did not go above her head, noticing that this privileged white woman came to 3 black women in order for her to start her apology campaign. She said that it reeked of white privilege, which then Jada rebutted by saying, I never want to be the type of person or do the type of thing that was done to me as a black woman coming from white women. She didn't want to perpetuate the same cycle. And I do understand that. But honestly, I'm on the side of Jada's mother. I am on the side of Jada's mother. What Jada was doing in bringing Olivia Jade to the Red Table Talk was basically playing the part of a mammy, which, for those of you who don't know the mammy stereotype within Black history, it's basically the old school house slave type of role where a black woman would care for the poor, innocent, darling white girl and protect her as if she's some sort of mother figure and cleaning up all of her messes and stuff. It's very mammy-ish, because this entire thing is very mammy-ish for Jada to bring her onto her platform only to basically want to help her clean up her own messes. And the reason I'm saying that is because you guys could be like, well, we want to give her an opportunity to speak out. We want to give her an opportunity to say something, right? We want to give her a platform to speak. Number one, Olivia has her own platform. She doesn't need Jada's platform. And don't think it goes over my head either to notice that when people need rebuilding, rebranding, they need a little bit of sympathy, they want to run to the black women to get that sympathy, whether it be the red table talk like Jada or Oprah or Wendy Williams, all of the major talk show hosts, they want to go to the supposed compassionate black women so that we have their back, because they know that black women are very uplifting. We tend to, you know, give women the space to breathe and to develop and to make mistakes. So it doesn't go over our head that we are extending this privilege, even though the privilege is never extended to us. If a black woman were to do anything wrong, no matter how minuscule the problem may be, we are ridiculed and offered no helping hand. So this is what Jada's mother was saying. And at the end of the day, Olivia Jade did not need this platform. Olivia is going to be fine no matter what, okay? She is a privileged, wealthy young woman. She is going to be perfectly fine no matter what. So at the end of the day, the only purpose this interview is serving is to help her on her new sympathy tour and trying to get people to forgive her. And the reason that I'm saying this is because this interview was trash. It served absolutely no purpose because Jada did not answer or ask any of the pertinent questions that should have been asked in this scenario. Ask yourself, if you saw the interview, which will be linked in the description box below, feel free to go watch it. But if you've seen the interview, ask yourself if you left that interview understanding or knowing more about the situation than you did before. Ask yourself if you got anything answered out of this interview. Because I, off the top of my head, could throw out 5 questions, 5 pertinent questions that should have been asked during this interview that was not touched upon at all. Number one, Jada did not touch on the level of involvement that Olivia herself had in the situation. It was never touched on at all. She did not ask Olivia the basic question of, Olivia, you helped take these photos to perpetuate the idea that you were a rower and ready to be in a college level rowing team in order to get your admission into USC. You knowingly took these pictures. Why? Why did you take these pictures? Because throughout the interview, Olivia is making it seem as if this was just some horrendous accident that befell her family and that her parents are the one entirely culpable. She's saying it as if, oh my gosh, this was a mistake. This was such a mistake on our part. And she wants to apologize. And I'm like, sis, apologize for what? She's saying, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry for what? You yourself have copped to nothing. You have laid the entire fault at the feet of your parents. She herself said nothing about what she had to do with the situation. Why didn't we get a question about the photo that Olivia posted basically flipping off anybody who was outraged about the situation? Did you guys forget about that? Because I forget nothing. There was a picture that Olivia took of her basically flipping off the public, the press, the media during this scandal, as if it didn't matter, as if she didn't care. You're not gonna ask her about that? Olivia said that she has friends that live a similar sheltered, oblivious lifestyle that she lives. She was saying during this interview, she's like, I have friends and it seemed commonplace what my parents were doing because all my friends were doing it. You didn't think to probe her at that point of the interview and ask, well, sis, if you have friends that are seemingly doing the same thing that you did to get into college, are you basically saying that this is an ongoing farther wide-reaching problem than what we realize? Because Olivia's sitting there saying, well, it's normal in my world. It's normal for people to bribe themselves and lie to get in college. That should have been a stopping point for the interview where you would probe deeper, because what Olivia's confessing to is having close friends within her proximity in her world that are doing exactly what she did to get into college. That's why she thought it was normal. We're not going to ask those questions, Jada. Then what was the point of bringing Olivia to the Red Table Talk other than to attempt to rebuild her character and to garner public sympathy? Because that's all, and that's mammy behavior. Cleaning up after the little rich privileged white girl is mammy-ish behavior. And then, ooh, this one got me. This one got me. 7 minutes into the interview, Olivia says, don't I deserve sympathy? Don't I deserve a second chance? I'm 21 years old. I deserve a second chance. She said the words deserve. Olivia, let me make something 100% clear to you and everyone watching. You deserve nothing. You deserve nothing. Nothing is owed to you. That's how you got yourself into this issue in the first place, is thinking you deserve something. And before I even get into that, I need to put a cap on this, okay? On this channel, in this court, it will not fly for you to blame anything on your age, period, the end, period. I never want to hear it. I don't want to hear it when it comes to the D'Amelios, James Charles. I don't give a damn. Your age does not mean that you are stupid. Unless you're under the age of 14, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. But beyond that, youth does not inherently mean stupidity, and I find it insulting. I find it insulting. There are plenty of young people here on my channel who would never do a lot of the ridiculous things that I have seen influencers do and then blame on their age. And I'm not gonna give anybody a pass for something that I never would have got a pass for when I was 15 or 16 years old. It won't happen. And this is another piece of the privilege that I don't think people are seeing, because this is a uniquely American white privilege type of thing. Because if you go into any other household within the Americas, a black household, an Asian household, a Latin household, youth doesn't give you a pass for nothing. As a child, I was never allowed to act out. I was never allowed to do anything that would demean another person or hurt my own character, lying, cheating, and stealing. I knew that was bad when I was 10. And if I stepped out of line, I got popped in the mouth. That's something that doesn't fly in a black household. So when people come over here and they're like, oh, it's because I was young. No, it's not because you were young. It was because you were stupid. So cop to that. Instead of blaming youth, blame your own stupidity and ignorance, because whenever they blame, oh, I was young, that's implying that all young people are as dumb as you are. And I refuse to believe that, because that wasn't me. It wasn't me. And a lot of the people here on my court who are teenagers, it's not them either. I have a teenager behind me right now. He doesn't behave that way anyways. He wakes up, goes to work. He knows what's expected of him. He has a full-time job and goes to school. He knows better. Why don't you? On this channel, I don't care how young you were. Unless you were under the age of 14, you knew better. So you can use that excuse with the boomers who don't remember what it's like to be young. But as a young person to another young person, I don't give a damn. It's not because you were young, it's because you were dumb. And this is an American thing, because if you go around the world, India, Japan, China, the expectations that they have of their youth are very great, much larger than we have here in the United States, and these excuses would never fly. These excuses only fly with the privileged, particularly white class within the United States. But you will get no pass from me, and I'm going to apply the same logic that my black family applied to me to you. You can get that excuse from your grandparents and your family, but it ain't gonna fly over here. Sorry. I know that was kind of a bit of a side thing, but I had to get that out because I'm so sick of hearing the I was young excuse. I am young, okay? So I'm not giving you a pass. I don't care. I don't care. If I didn't do it as a teenager, I expect the same competence from you. So if you want to just sit there and be like, well, I was stupid, say that. Do not blame your youth. But moving on. This is exactly the type of privilege that really upsets everybody, because she doesn't even understand that it is a privilege to be young and dumb. It's a privilege to be young and naive, because as a black woman having to grow up and be that young person, I was never allowed to be that stupid, because the ramifications of being stupid for a black child is much worse than that of a white child. We do not have the privilege to be able to make dumb decisions or stupid mistakes. My little brother is 7, and I have to teach him incredibly complex things, because if he steps out of line accidentally, for a second, for a moment, he could be seriously injured. The teenager in this house has to watch himself and the way that he behaves, because he can be shot. He can go to jail. Nobody has sympathy for little black boys, little teenage boys. They don't care. So the fact that you can even cop to, oh, I was young and dumb, that's privilege. Because if any black YouTubers were doing some of the stuff that James Charles or Olivia Jade or any of these other problematic YouTubers were doing, if any black YouTubers were behaving this way, we would be massacred. Massacred. There would be no excuse of, oh, I was young. They don't care. They don't care. We do not get that privilege. We don't get to be young and make mistakes. They don't care. So that's a privilege that she does, to this day, she clearly doesn't even realize that she possesses. But then the audacity for her to sit at that table and be like, but I deserve a second chance. And now I can get back to that, because no, you don't. You don't deserve anything. You deserve nothing. Your second chance is earned. Earned. And I know that that is something that is foreign to her. She's not used to having to earn anything in her life, but that is something that is earned. You earn the public's trust and respect. You earn people returning to you as a YouTuber and trusting you again. That is something to be earned. That is not something to just be given because you deserve it. That was so incredibly entitled, and the fact that it came out of her mouth when she's talking about her own privilege and she didn't even realize it. The hypocrisy, though, drives me insane, because she's sitting here saying, I deserve a second chance, when some people weren't even given a first chance. They weren't given one chance. And you're over here sitting and saying you deserve a second one. Beyond that, yes, her parents have been punished, but even the punishment levied on the parents reeks of privilege. And the reason it reeks of privilege is because, number one, parents similar to that of Olivia Jade have been given much worse than what they got. I remember reading an article about a black woman who sent her child to a school outside of her district and like lied on the address form so that her child could go to a better school. And I think she got sentenced to like 5 years. Meanwhile, Olivia Jade's parents, who bribed school officials and lied and all of this stuff, they get months. Mere months. And then the punishment isn't even proportional, which is another thing that upsets me, because Olivia's gonna be fine. At the end of all of this, no matter if she becomes a YouTuber again or not, Olivia's gonna be just fine. Her parents are well established and wealthy. They are going to be just fine. 2 and 5 months between them it's not gonna do anything to them. Not a thing. They're gonna get out of prison, go home, start cooking pancakes, and live life the way they've always been living it. What she doesn't seem to understand is, if you were to put the average person in that situation, it would break their lives. Use my family as an example. If either one of the breadwinners of this household went to jail, either one, much less both of them, if either one went to jail, we would lose our home. They would lose their jobs. My brother would have to be pulled out of school. My living situation would be in turmoil. The channel would likely be dormant until I figured out where I was gonna live. And then even after that, I would probably solely be caring for a 7-year-old on my own because his parents were in jail. Something like this would destroy the average household. It's loss of income, loss of jobs, making car payments. You can't make car payments while you're in jail, and most people don't have the type of savings account to sustain those type of payments while they're away and not working. Therefore, you lose your car. You can't go to school. There's so much more that comes from punishments like this beyond the jail sentence, but Olivia's family's not gonna have to suffer that because they're wealthy. They're wealthy. I will hand it to her. When I see somebody at least attempting to try to understand, I'll give them the props. So I can say that I am happy that she's attempting to understand her own privilege, that she seems to be attempting and trying, though struggling, she's trying to see beyond herself, to see the privilege that she has. And she acknowledges that part of having privilege is not knowing that you possess it. So that is big on her part, but she is still missing a lot, clearly, by even saying that, oh, I deserve a second chance. She's earned nothing. She's done nothing. She's admitted complicity in nothing. So it's almost like she's just wanting us to forgive her and brush it under the rug and act like she had nothing to do with the situation at all, which is not something that I'm willing to let fly. Olivia does not deserve any like ridiculousness such as death threats or anything like that. She definitely doesn't. But she cannot ask the public to simply just forgive her. She can't ask the public to not give her any flack or backlash. She cannot ask that of the public. That is something to be earned on her part. And no, she does not deserve anything. She does not deserve her endorsements back. She does not deserve any brand deals. Because what has she done to earn it? Where? You owe the public an explanation before you can start profiting off of them once again. So am I saying she should be deplatformed? No. Quite honestly, she needs to use her platform to speak a bit more, because I feel like there was a lot that was not said in this very lackluster interview that I could have done better myself within 10 minutes. There was absolutely no point to bring Olivia Jade onto Red Table Talk if you were not going to ask the pertinent questions, the deep digging, diving questions that should have been asked. And I'm not saying Olivia should have been attacked at Red Table Talk, but you knew why she was there. You knew there was a purpose to her presence at that table, and you should have asked the questions that the public needed to know. Otherwise, there was no use for this interview other than to make this girl look sympathetic. And that is Jada's fault. And I hold that against her. This never should have happened if you weren't going to do the deep probing questions, if you weren't going to make her answer for some things. What was the purpose? What was the purpose? There was none. In the comment section below, let me know what you think about this entire situation. Did you know what was going on? Is this the first time you're hearing about it? What do you think Olivia needs to do to really repair her image? Let me know. Give the video a thumbs up. And if you are not a member of my court, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I would love to see you again. I love you, I'll miss you, and you know I will be back in a future video. Bye!